Very good morning to all of you. It's lovely to see you. I recognize a few friendly faces, and there's a very special lady all the way from Cape Town. She spends a lot of time in the US as well, so I'm going to be listening especially for her accent, just to hear if she's, if the American has rubbed off yet. But she's going to come and introduce the team for us. She's the director or the leader then of Equip in South Africa. And she has invited the team, and she promised them there'll be 10,000 people in a stadium, and that's why they came. So, you know how it goes. It's cold, I'm sorry. But she's going to come and introduce the team and then these lovely products. So let's give a Pretoria welcome to Magda Odendaal.
Thank you, Ruan. Dankie, Ruan. Ek kan nog baie suiwer Afrikaans praat. Goeiemôre almal. Baie bly om hier te wees. Thank you so much for coming this morning. So just by the way, Ruan, I've been working in the US for 23 years, part of training and developing businesswomen around the world. So yeah, there might be some accents. I have no idea what one, and it doesn't matter as long as you can understand what I'm saying. I am married to Nico Odendaal. He's a captain for South African Airlines. We own a small business in the USA, so we are up and down between here and there, while at the same time we serve where we can. So it's a privilege for me this morning to dive right into introducing the president of Equip and our two associate trainers. It's my privilege, Terence, this morning, if you would just rise up. He's going to say something a little bit later. He's our president. Welcome to South Africa, Terence. The Lord bless you, keep you. You have blessed us last night. Not out of our socks and shoes. Just for those of you who were here last night, some of you still asked for books. Terence's book, Do Your Children Believe? An amazing book. If you heard his testimony yesterday, you will know why you need this book. So I'm going to leave it here. Come and see me. I've got about 10 left. That's all. We give it to you for $150 just to cover the costs. We're not making anything on that. So if you want Terence's book, Do Your Children Believe? Our topic last night, integrity, was it starts at home. And Do Your Children Believe would give us a lot of that. Scott Larson, would you please stand up, Scott? Now, Scott has been to South Africa before. He doesn't like a lot of attention, and I'm constantly in trouble with Scott if I expose him. So please forgive me, Scott. Welcome in South Africa again. Scott is a businessman. What he does is he helps the church in the United States to not be in trouble with the IRS. He makes sure that they understand the tax systems. He helps them to do what is right according to the laws, but also not to give too much away. So thank you for serving the kingdom of God in that way, Scott. He's a wonderful businessman, and we love listening to his business skills. He's the one keeping us with the rod behind us and keeping us going. And then Pastor Jason Hirsch. Oh man, he's just a darling. Pastor Jason and his wife Angel are from Austin, Texas. He's got a ministry there, and him and Scott has been with the Equip team for many, many years. How many years? 14 years already. They've been going around the world doing what they are going to do this morning. So they are equipped to do Equip with you this morning. So welcome. Please have a wonderful time in the Lord this morning. And we're going to start off with a video clip of a video session of Dr. John Maxwell. It's Transformation Begins in Me, and we will work from there onwards with the next session. And so, Ruan, thank you so much for putting Dr. John Maxwell. Greetings from him, and the team will convey that to you. So welcome and enjoy the morning with us. Thank you.
That's the American press. I have to get a better press then. But thank you all for being here this morning. We are going to walk you through. John just walked you through the first session of the booklet that talks about transformation is in me. The answers for that section we'll point you to is in the book as well. So if you fail to fill in the blanks, if you're anything like my wife, you have to make sure those blanks get filled out. Page 27. 7, okay. On page 7 are the answers to those blanks, and so feel free to fill those out at your convenience. But we want to keep moving and keep the programming short. We're going to take 6 hours of training and make it into 2 hours of training. So we'll be able to get that done. But we do want to introduce this next session as we talk about Jesus, the transformational leader. And at the end of the video, John mentioned something I think that was so critical. He says, we are attempting something that's so bold and so great that is doomed to fail unless God be in it. And what we are envisioning here for South Africa, as I think about Cape Town, I think about Joburg, I think about Pretoria, I know that in Cape Town, for example, there's 8 million, somewhere around 7, 8 million people. And our goal and our prayer is to say, Lord, could we reach 10% of the population, 800,000 people in Cape Town alone? That's 10% of the population. And in order to do that, we need to reach around 1% to be facilitators of the program we're about to walk you through. And that 1% will be able to reach the 10%. And the reason that we're focusing on 10% because we know that's a tipping point. And if we can reach the tipping point, then we can reach the nation. And what we're after are 3 things. We're after individual transformation. In other words, transformation starts in you and in me. Secondly, let's move out into our community where we live, work, play, and worship. And then we will see a community transformed. And as we see a community transformed, we will begin to see a nation transformed. And make it very clear what we are after is a nation transformed, a nation that's being different tomorrow than what it is today. The good made better, and the better made great. And so today I'd like to bring up Scott, who will walk us through the next section to talk about Jesus, because if transformation is going to happen, it is not going to happen through you or through me. It is going to happen through Jesus working in you and moving outside of you for something greater. So let me turn this to Scott, who will walk us through the next session. Turn to page 8, Jesus, the transformational leader, and he'll begin to walk through this session and bless us this time. Scott?
Thank you, Terrence. It's a pleasure to be here. I look at it as it's just a privilege to be used by God. I look at all of us and what Christ did with just ordinary people, and they realized it was an honor to be used by God, not to get the credit, but to give God the credit. And we have to be the catalyst. We have to be the catalyst, the transformational leader that has been transformed by Christ, and that's the only way we can do it. Just to give you a little insight, the booklet that we're doing is the training manual to give you an idea of what's expected of a facilitator, of what the leader needs to be a facilitator. The actual teaching of what you would do in a roundtable is in the Beyond Success book. It's the 6 keys to success are the 6 attitudes that you'll be leading small group discussions about. And that's really a life-changing event. The one thing I found, and what you'll see later when we hopefully have time to simulate a small group, is you get more out of it than the people because you get to hear their perspective. And as I tell my kids, the whole thing in life is gather as many perspectives as you can, because then you can use that to help people. And I think that's what Christ did, because what Christ did is traveled the world in that brief time to gather perspective from the human race. He had his Father's perspective, and that's what kept him focused on being the transformational leader he was. That's what gave him the direction to pick the 12 disciples and to have ordinary people transformed to do extraordinary things. And that's what he wants from us. The next 6 lessons are lessons on intentional living and the lifestyle of successful people, putting your everyday purpose into action. So you go from getting people to introspectively look at themselves. And that's where it all starts, is inside, like John Maxwell had said and Terrence had said. And that's where it all begins. And then we can help other people change themselves. We can be the catalyst for God to effect change, to be the transformational leader. In the booklet, to at least go through all the notes, it's broken down into 5 questions, and there's a lot of blanks, but the bottom line is Jesus saw things that other people didn't see. He believed things that other people didn't see. He felt things. He felt a lot of things we feel. He felt anger. He felt emotion. He felt all of that, but he kept his focus on the purpose, on God's will, on what God's perspective was for the human race, not what his anger and emotion was. And we do these studies and we go through and we're in small groups. We have to remember that it's about them, not about us. Because hopefully we're allowing God to work through us so he gets the credit and we don't get the credit for his work. God did things that other people didn't do in his whole mission. But all of us can do that. And that's what Christ was modeling. Christ was the ultimate small group leader. He took 12 people and transformed the world. We got 120 people. You know, all these different universes that are on these elevators and that, what do they got, Star Wars and all these other things? You know, we can go and conquer the galaxy with all these people. I mean, you got 10 times the amount of disciples in here. So we can transform the world. Well, in your booklet, as a transformational leader, number 1, Jesus saw things that other people did not see. He was intentional. Jesus saw more than others. And just so you know, if you get lost or I go too quick, the answers for this are on the bottom of page 12. Jesus saw people differently than others. Look at the Samaritan woman at the well. He didn't see the woman and she was a bother. She saw that the Samaritans were ripe for harvest. He didn't see the fields, he saw the people. And you look at the adulterous woman. You that have no sin, cast the first stone. Go forward and sin no more. He saw his mission differently than other people saw it. His purpose was to not learn about people, but see the culture and expose his disciples and the other people to God's will. And he did that by adding value to them. How did he add value? He taught them. He mentored them. He healed the sick, the mentally broken. He was selfless. And that's what he wanted his disciples to be. Number 2, Jesus said things that other people didn't say. Jesus' life and words were like a magnet. They both repel and attract people. He wasn't out there trying to please everybody. You know, when the president of a nation is lucky to have 50 people like him and then the other 50 hate him, look at what Christ had to deal with. He had the Pharisees. And you realize that they weren't Pharisees until he met them and they rejected him. Then they became Pharisees. Otherwise, they were ripe for the harvest. And then they always were. But then it came down to, people don't want to listen to you. Dust off your shoes and go on to the people that do. And that's what he's calling you to do the people in your community, the people in your groups, the sphere of influence you have. Those people are seeking. Those people at a certain time and place are looking for guidance. They're looking for God. It might start with attitudes. It might start with values. But it's going to start with you taking the step and asking them if they would like to be involved in your small group. Jesus attracted huge crowds because he valued people. But like I said, he gave value first. And you guys are business people in sales, online marketing, all that. You give value first. And then people will buy from you. People will believe what you say. So take the high road. Love other people. Love the unlovable. Jesus attracted huge crowds because of his message. Obviously, when God talks, people listen, or he'll open up the earth and swallow you and, crush you. But the message was so unique. It was of love, of service, of selflessness. And transformational leaders have to have the courage to share their God-given dreams. You got to have the courage to care for people in an environment that only cares about themselves. Number 3, Jesus believed things other people did not believe. He believed in people when they didn't believe in themselves. The disciples didn't have the faith in themselves. They had to be mentored and modeled. That's what the small group setting is for. So you're not their coach. You're not the answer to their problems. You're their mentor. You're there to help them find themselves. Don't us driven business people, when we have problems and we want to talk to somebody, we're voicing stuff to somebody that'll listen in hope that we'll answer our own questions. We'll solve our own problems because we have somebody to listen to. And that's what my wife has to listen to every day, because I'm a very needy person. And when I'm dumping my problems and trying to solve my own problems, she's got to be the one that hears it first. And I've got a lot of problems. And as all women know, men are all insecure and all that other stuff. So we need God more than anything. So when you believe you can make a difference, there is always an answer. You might not be able to see it at the time, but it's there, and Christ saw it. It's the intangibles that make the difference in our life. Believe in the possibilities and find the ones around you who you can make a difference, who you can instill the values of Christ in. Ask yourself, who in your community, who would be ripe? Who is the harvest around you? Who are in your sphere of influence? And one thing, do not underestimate your sphere of influence. I think we all get fear and insecure getting up in front of people. This is the last thing most people want to do. Christ did it because he had his Father's perspective. We can do it only if we have Christ's perspective. Take the high road, love other people more than ourselves, and invest in them. Number 4, Jesus felt things other people did not feel. Jesus was full of passion. He felt anger, he felt emotion, he felt all those things. But he was focused and directed on the will of his Father. He had his Father's perspective. And my kids just, oh God, Dad, again. I always say, it's all about gaining perspective. Walk in other people's shoes. Ask them questions about themselves. Because when you gain the perspective, you can use it to help them reach their potential. The evil in the world will use it for their own selfish gain, but we can rise above that and use it to help others if we have God's perspective. Jesus was passionate about people because he valued them. Transformational leaders value other people. You have to inspire them with your value, with your vision, and with your passion. Instilling your vision and passion in other people will draw them to you. Then you allow them to be transformed by God, by looking at their values, introspectively looking inside and looking at the things that are controlling them that are not of God. And they will answer their own questions. Number 5, Jesus did things others did not do. He was fruitful. He lived out his life-changing message. He did it through God's perspective and the power of God. Sometimes he didn't want to do it, but he had to do it. And so we are called as Christians, as businessmen, as people, to invest in the lives of others, to take the high road, to go against society and stand for what we believe. We are called to gain a Christ-like perspective. How do we do that? We got to spend time with God. We have to pray, then we have to listen. And God will instill in us his perspective and what he wants us to do. If you believe the Bible is the living word of God, when you read it, God will instill in you what he wants from you that day. It's like reading the proverb of the day. And remember, God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And he can and will use you. Thank you.
First, hi, I'm Jason Hirsch. How is everybody? You're alive, alert, enthusiastic, aren't you? Yes. And my wife, her name is Angel. She sends greetings from Austin, Texas to you. I have 4 children, 2 in university, 2 still at home, and so they also they would love to be here with me, and I wish they could, but they can't, and so they send their greetings as well. So give you a little background, and then I'll break this down. I was raised by a father who was a investment banker, financial planner by vocation, and then a general in the United States Army as a reservist. He was in the Vietnam conflict. He was also in Desert Storm, is now retired, moved to Springfield, Missouri, between Branson and Springfield. And one of the things for me that has captured my heart here is what was not experienced in the home for me. And it's this, that my dad was a Christian, loved the Lord, but he segregated himself from impacting culture as a Christian. He made money, sat on boards, was at high levels functioning. But yet, I never saw anybody come to Jesus. I never heard about it. It was never talked about. And it was my sophomore year in high school that I went to my dad and I said, if you represent Christianity and the church represents that as well, I don't want anything to do with it. And I walked away. And I said, I've been taught, I said, it's talked about that we're to reach culture and touch and impact lives and see people come to faith in Christ, but it's never been modeled. I put my dad through hell for 3 years because I'm like, hey, I'm going to go live my life, and it's a whole lot better than yours, Dad. And then in my senior year, God broke my father. And when he broke my father, it was a spiritual breaking because he saw me go far, far left of anything he could have ever imagined, and I won't get into the details. When that happened, that's when I received my call to go into full-time ministry. When my dad broke. And all of a sudden, he began to share the hurts, the baggage, the stuff. I saw the real. And when that happened, it was like, okay, Dad, I'm not going down the same road. I'm not going to be a investment banker and a financial planner or anything like that. I feel compelled to take the things that I've learned, but go into ministry to help people in a different way. So my point in saying this all is this: I do understand business. I do understand the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly. But with that, what I bring into today is the fact that it can never be lost on you, your call as ministers in the marketplace. Your call as ministers to model at home. Your call is ministers of those that represent Jesus Christ to take that message and to live that message out. And so just so you know, and if you have kids, they're listening. And they're wondering. And they're going, what does God and Jesus and the church, what does that mean to you, and how is that impacting the world? And here's today, what's happening is we're bringing something that I wish my dad had. Because I think had he been given the tools and even been taught, he might have sat with people and he might have led them to faith in Jesus Christ. But I don't know that he really knew how to do that. It was a foreign thing to him. Okay, but now you will be without excuse. You will have the resources and the tools in your hands to take the message of hope to a culture that desperately needs it. Period. I shared a statistic the other day. Since 1999 to today in North America and the United States, 30%, the suicide rate has gone up 30%. What we are seeing is a culture of hopelessness. And here's the deal. The hope resides in here. Resides in here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring hope. Okay. Booklets. Look at these real quick. What I want you to realize is this is the training manual for you. So literally if you were today to go, I want to do this, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. I want to do this. This is we have the answers to the fill-ins. We have the breakdown of salt and light. It's basically to motivate you, to teach you, to say, here's what you can do. It gives you sample lessons, and even some of you will actually be training up other facilitators, to other leaders to sit and do roundtables with marketplace, with neighbors, with people in the community. And this is your tool to train you. Okay? Questions on this at all? Any questions? I want to make sure that you're very clear on that. And also, if you're going, and you're going to get this for free. There's no charge for this. You're going to get for any type of training that you need to do. So then also on PDF. We will have it available on PDF, so literally it can be sent, and if you later on, when we'll talk about the commitment of it, you'll be able to get that, and so that you can lead these discussions of transformation with individuals. But this is then the resource, the beyond success, the significant stuff of walking people through the dialogue and discussion. I'm going to model that in just a minute, and some of you are going to help me with that. And so this is the piece that will be taking individuals on the journey with you, on the journey of transformation. Okay. Questions. I want to make sure that we're meeting you where you're at, because you're going, there's 2 booklets, it's a lot of content, it's kind of like a fire hydrant drink in a very short period of time, early in the morning. Any questions? Seriously, ask. Because if I was sitting there, I'd be going, well, how do you do this? What is going on? I don't get this. What's the deal? Fill in the blank. Yeah, fill in the blanks. I'm not doing the fill-ins. No, you guys are smart. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, and the reason this is important is because I look at material, and oftentimes I'll just put it on my desk, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll look at that later, and I never engage it. This is not a resource to not engage. Eternity is in the balance for people all around you every day. You got to engage it. Okay, I'm going to ask 2 people to come up here and bring your chair. I need 2 volunteers. What basically I'm going to do for you is I'm going to model what some of our businessmen in our church do on a weekly basis. They also were tired of going, hey, we're around people that are far from God all the time, but we're not inviting anybody to cross the line of faith, or we're not having conversations, spiritual conversations, or even just conversations. Literally, it is been very life-giving when they come and speak to either the church or different places, these businessmen in our church, and they will say, all that we're asking you to do is be willing to meet with people for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes a week. And I have 2 guys right now that are doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're meeting with men and women collectively, and they're just having conversations. And right now, we have about 4 to 5 individuals that are almost at the line of coming to faith in Jesus Christ. In the marketplace, not in our church. Okay. Hi there. Good morning. Tell us your name and what you do for a living. Oh, here we go. Great. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, I'm Anne-Marie van der Merwe. I am the CEO of a company called Itemba. We do corporate governance, compliance, and train directors.
Wonderful. That is great. Well, glad that you can be a part of this today and this roundtable discussion, and pray that God will open doors for you to share your faith and be salt and light in culture. Yeah.
Hi, Jason. My name is Tony. I run about 5 companies, and I train entrepreneurs on going to the next level.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, today what I'm going to do is here we have a group. We're going to act as if, well, I guess I have never met you before, really, and this is a new day, and so I'm going to take you through Beyond Success, and if today this can be done, so take your green booklet, this one right here, and we're going to have a group discussion on attitude. So yeah, grab your green booklet. And so we could be sitting down at some restaurant. We could be sitting down in an office, in a building somewhere. We could be sitting down at a park if that's where the group would be willing to meet. And so what we're going to do is I'm so glad that you all came. And as a facilitator, just one thing is, just so you know, I'm not a counselor. I'm not somebody that's there to be this solve their life problems. I'm there to allow the process to work itself out in me, and then allow the process to work itself out in them. And then at some point in the journey, we're hoping that what we're praying for and believing, and John gives an example of that, John Maxwell, is that at some point they will hear the testimony of the person that's facilitating, and then be given an opportunity to come to faith in Jesus Christ. Remember, this is pre-Christian. So you're going to have people that have different political views than you. You're going to have people that do bad things at times because what? They're not Christian. And so you're going to sit in messy situations with people that are so far left or so far right, and you're going, what am I to do with that? Nothing. Just love them. Just be there. You can't solve their problems, but God can. God can. Okay, here we go. All right. Attitude. All right. Well, what we do is, if you look through this, and we're going to follow verbatim the top where it says attitude. We're going to take this section and take turns reading the paragraph below as you read, underline the ideas, and capture your attention. So this is how it would work if we were first, sitting down. I'm saying, hey guys, I'm glad you came, and I'm glad you decided to be a part of this, and I'm grateful that John Maxwell has put this material together so that we could be stretched in our thinking and in our leadership and our values and all of that type of stuff. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to take turns reading here right now. All right. So I'll have you read, and you say, Anna Marie, read the first paragraph there on attitude. Oh yeah, I'm going to have my microphone there.
When you think of attitude, when you think of attitude, what comes to mind? You may not be able to easily define attitude, but you know a good or a bad one when you see it. Your attitude colors every aspect of your life. It's like the mind's paintbrush. It can paint everything in bright, vibrant colors, creating a masterpiece. Or it can make everything dark and dreary. If you look at the lives of people in any profession who achieve lasting success, you will find that they almost always possess a positive outlook on life. Having a positive attitude is essential. It not only determines your level of contentment as a person, but it also has an impact on how others interact with you. To learn more about what it means to be positive, think about these things.
Great. So now, Tony, I'll have you read the next paragraph there.
Your attitude is a choice you make. Average people want to wait for someone else to motivate them. They are tempted to believe that their circumstances are responsible for the way they think and feel. In reality, attitude is always a choice. In fact, while we can't control many of our circumstances, we can always control our attitudes. And choosing a positive attitude makes any circumstance look better. When you choose your attitude, you are taking control of an important aspect of your life, rather than just letting life control you.
Read the next paragraph too there.
Your attitude affects your outlook. When you choose to focus on the positive in your surroundings, you tend to see more positive things. Choosing a positive attitude about your current situation enables you to see future circumstances in a positive light. Your attitude at this moment colors your perspective both now and in the future.
Your attitude precedes your actions. Actions are always an outward expression of your inner feelings. The way you feel about a given circumstance or situation will impact the way you react to it. When you change how you feel, you change how you act. By choosing a positive attitude, you make it easier for you to choose positive actions. And this often leads to a positive outcome. Anna Marie, I'm going to have you read the next paragraph, please. You see what's happening here is we're just going around and we're reading things that are tied to attitude. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty good.
Okay, your attitude enhances your relationships. Your attitude regarding people will impact your relationships with them. Okay. If you start with a negative attitude about a person, you will tend to focus on all of their negative qualities. A positive attitude about a person causes you to focus on their positive qualities. By choosing to see someone in a positive light, you will act towards them in a positive manner, and they will usually respond in kind.
Yeah. Go ahead and read the next one.
Your attitude alters your outcomes. In his book, The Winning Attitude, John Maxwell states, "Our attitude at the beginning of a task will affect its outcome more than anything else. Whether you're choosing to be cheerful about a task or choosing to believe in your ability to accomplish it, a positive attitude empowers you to do your best work. It makes team interaction go more smoothly. And very frequently, it delivers the results that you desire. Expecting the best usually results in the best. Thinking positively on the front end is critical to success."
Tony, I'll have you read on the benefits.
When you develop a positive attitude, you experience the following benefits. 1, you are content and you enjoy life more. 2, you inspire others to achieve more together. 3, you attract people who exhibit the same qualities. 4, you see the opportunities in every situation. 5, you usually exhibit gratitude towards others. And 6, you keep pushing until you succeed.
Okay, you get the idea of what's happening here. What is happening is you're inviting somebody to come to an environment, whatever that is, wherever that is, to have discussion on relationship, on attitude, on goal setting. Could be what or whatever value that it could be that you're talking about, or something that's significant in their life. You're giving them a booklet to walk them through it from a credible influencer, Dr. John Maxwell. You're then putting that in their hands, and they're like, well, what strings are attached there? And you're like, nothing. We're hoping, just like I'm being transformed, I'm hoping you will. This is stuff that is life-giving for all of us. They may never even, per se, let's say they're really against the idea of Christ. What you're doing is you're giving them principles and values of Christ without them knowing it. Okay? You see what's happening? That's what's taking place in this. So even if they're like, I'm not about Jesus, there's something good that's being downloaded into their soul. Okay? So then, as you would walk through those things, again, you're not counseling them, and you're coming to reflect and respond. And so you choose something. So basically, I would say choose something you underline that is important to you. Take a minute to tell everyone what you chose and why it is important to you. Okay. So for instance, now I'm going to ask you, Anna Marie, Tony. We just read some stuff. Of that stuff on attitude, take 30 seconds. I'm going to give you this is kind of you might take 2 to 3 minutes to do this with your group. Again, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You don't want to draw this out to an hour and a half unless the people with you might have that time frame. But as people of movement and business and leadership, you have a lot of things to accomplish. So you want to be sensitive to people's times and not nickel and dime them. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on the group you have. Probably 5 to 6 people max. So what do you guys, take a minute and think about something that you underline that's important to you on the topic of attitude. And take one minute to tell everyone what you chose and why. So would you be willing to do that? Something of what we just read, Tony. Could you share?
Sure. So I think on the benefits one, you attract people who exhibit the same qualities. You know, when your attitude is positive and good, you attract other people with positive and good attitudes. I was listening to a podcast the other day, Andy Stanley one, and he was talking about how the one chap had run a business, and in fact he'd become sick and and bad, and he was starting to drink a lot and take drugs and all sorts of stuff. And because of that, he attracted other people in his life. When he broke that, he came to Christ and he started changing that. Those people disappeared in his life, and other people with the correct attitude and the correct thing came into his life, completely transformed, and now he's running one of the biggest businesses in Atlanta.
Great. That's wonderful. What a great example.
Thank you. I think the one thing that stood out for me, and maybe because I think I'm blessed in the sense of having a positive attitude, but I don't think we're always intentional with it. So I've not really always thought about intentionally how my attitude affects the outcomes, or other people, and how I can actually use this as a gift in other people's lives. I don't think we always think about that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you see what's happening is there's thought process here. It's there's not just the reading, but there's the evaluation. And you look and you see in the booklet where it says evaluation in action. What I would do at this point is I would say complete the self-evaluation below. Rate yourself. So for instance, if I was to say to you, go ahead, Tony, go ahead, Anna Marie, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Where would you be at and why? Now, when you're with people that are pre-Christian, and I've been with people that are pre-Christian in a room, some of them will go, my attitude just sucks. And you're sitting there going, man, what do I do with that? Nothing. You don't fix them. Be like, well, you need to suck it up and get your attitude right. They're not coming back then. They're not. They want to just be there because, and obviously if they're there, they're either going, I'm doing this as a favor, or really I truly do want to grow, but they don't want to sit and be told and barked at, or they won't return. And so be okay with the fact. I've had some people go, you know what, I've been sitting here for 2 weeks, and honestly this blankety thing doesn't really do anything for me. I'm like, it's fine. Just if you're welcome to come back, and we'll just walk this through. Don't get frustrated. Just pray behind the scenes and pray for transformation. And truthfully, it's not us that saves anybody. Nobody comes to the Father, but the Spirit of God draws them. Don't get frustrated. But here's what I'd say to you. Do something. Do something. And one of the things that my dad found is that he was so insulated that when he finally got out, he goes, I forgot what it was like to be pre-Christian. And he separated himself from those that were searching and in need of Jesus. Okay, all right. So okay, sake of time, what we would do is, you look through and you give yourself, and I just asked you the question, rate yourself. Go ahead and explain to me, what did you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and why? Anna Marie. Yeah, you first. Yeah, 1 to 10, no right or wrong here.
So I've already sort of given away the fact that I say I do think I have a positive attitude. So I would probably give myself a 7 or an 8. My life motto, and I frustrate my family with this terribly, is to say, I'll cross the bridge when I get to it. So that's sort of been my attitude in life, and I think that has helped me to always also look at the glass half full and see the opportunities before I see the problems.
Great.
So yeah, I do think that I am gifted with it.
Wonderful. Tony, how about you? We'll pass the mic over to him.
Yeah, so I think I've had sort of about 30 years of really good input, and attitude is obviously one of those things that you hear over and over again from great speakers and so on like that, and it's one of those things that you have to work on first. So for me, that's really good. And then having run organizations, you see bad attitudes obviously going through, and you have to change that. You have to change the culture, and you can only change that by leading it. So.
Okay, so I think you're getting the idea here. And then what is really a key or clutch piece is when you get to the very end of the lesson, you ask the question to the group, what specific action can you take immediately that will improve your rating? To go from a 5 to 6 or 7 to an 8 or whatever it is. What action step? And they're going to write that down. And it says, take a minute, share your responses in the self-evaluation section, including the step you'll take to improve in this area. Everyone is asked to participate. Here's the thing with that, is that remember, those individuals that are around the room may have some very different thinking for sure. And I shared the other day, even with Terrence, that there are individuals that I've invited to a round table or a discussion, 3 or 4 or 5 people, and one of them does not read or read well. Be sensitive to that. Be sensitive. They might be on a bad day and they're like, I'm not interested in that. It's fine. It's okay. But you take an action step. And why? Because it's not just about gaining knowledge. Remember, it's about transformation. So then they're asked for that week, okay, what is it, the step, or what is something that you can do to implement what we've been talking about? For some, it might be making a note card that says, I'm not going to have a sucky attitude this week. And they put a card by their bed, or they put it on the dash of their car. And then when you come back the following week, and in that you go, okay, first thing out of the gate is this, obviously welcome. What action step did you commit to last week, and what were the results? That's the first application when coming back together. So what is there? There's some level of accountability, or at least challenge to come back and go, I don't want to tell the group that I didn't do anything. Though I've had people not do anything. But I'm not the one sitting there like trying to light a fire under them. I'm just there to let the process work itself out. You get it. Okay. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to do this though for a moment, and then I'm going to have Terrence come, and then you're going to all have breakfast. Praise Jesus. Are there any questions about this process before we go and have Terrence come? I want to make sure that if you're sitting here going, I don't quite get that, or I don't understand that, could you clarify? I want to make sure that I'm hitting you where you're at. You are bright and clever, brilliant. You know what? South Africa is in good hands. South Africa is in good hands.
Thank you, Jason. Awesome, huh? Good stuff. Well, as Anna Marie said, it's time to cross the bridge. It's time, Anna Marie. So I'm going to take that. And so what have we been talking about this morning is the beginning of transformation. But it cannot happen without the warriors of transformation. And you are those warriors that I'm hoping that the Lord has called. The reason that I joined the John Maxwell organization and Equip is because in June 2004, when I was seeking the Lord's calling, thinking he was going to take me into ministry, because I thought, as a businessman, that ministry was a church or a seminary or a mission field. But I realized that mission is about where you live, work, play, and worship all aspects of life. And I could actually do ministry while I was leading the Coca-Cola company. But I didn't think that way. I thought I had to give up my business in order to go into ministry. And so I wrote in my journal at that time, as I was seeking his calling, Terrence, I want you to evangelize the nations. I couldn't even imagine what that looked like. And I put that down until last year, because I believe in a discipleship. I'm a discipleship guy. I want to take Christians and I want to take them deeper into life-on-life relationships. And that was my thing. I love discipleship. But I forgot you do have to catch them before you clean them. And now I have this thirst. I don't know what it is. It's just this deep thirst to reach the lost. I don't know about you, but what if we could reach the 60% of those who will not step their foot in a church today? Would it make a difference? I looked at this room and I assessed it. There's about 100 business leaders in this room. And prior to John Maxwell organization, I led the largest marketplace ministry in the world as president CEO in 139 countries. There's 90 million businesses in the world that we can count. If just 10% of the leaders of the 90 million came forward and led this movement, that's 9 million. If they can reach 10,000 each between their customers, their vendors, their staff, etc., we could technically complete the Great Commission around the world. In this room is about 100 leaders Let's say you can reach 1,000 people each who don't know Christ, never would step foot in this church, but yet they spend 40 to 46 hours in your cubicles. That's 100,000 people that's represented in this room. We could make a difference today. Today. And here's the idea. We're going to open the doors of transformation through you. And so I'm going to ask you to make a commitment, at least pray about it. But I am going to ask you to make a commitment. And that commitment is very simple. Could you see yourself befriending, inviting, and believing that the Lord is going to use you in a mighty way and conduct these round tables for 30 minutes a week to see lives transformed? And in this group is 100,000 people that's represented in that process. That's a good start. And so I'm going to ask you to turn to page 39. Because as Anna Marie said, I'll get to it when it's time to cross the bridge. The bridge is waiting for you. And this morning, I'm inviting you to befriend, invite, and believe that the Lord is calling you to reach the nation. But that has to be his calling, not ours. If you believe that we're about making disciples to go make disciples and reaching the lost, I'm speaking to you this morning. And I'd like for you to, if you want to join us in this movement of transformation, to conduct these round tables. We have all the materials, we have all the resources, videos, etc. All you have to do is plug, play, press, pray, and invite. That's it. It's that simple. Everything's free. We're giving it away. Why? Well, John has made a whole lot of money selling books. If John was here, he'll tell you he sold hundreds of millions of books. So he has this passion. He just want to give it all away. I'm like, John, don't give it away. Charge. I'm a business guy. Charge something. Terrence, I want to give it all away. I have been given much, and now I want to give it away. And now we give it to you. And we're doing this all around the world and taking the 7 million that John has trained over the last 13 years, mobilizing them in 196 countries to reach the lost. And I personally wanted to come here and start this movement in South Africa. I could be in anywhere in the world. Coming from Guatemala the week before this, going to places before this, I wanted to be here in South Africa to see this launch because I believe in you. The reason that I'm here is in June 2004, I prayed for your nation. Never been here before, but I prayed for you, and you. I wanted to see Africa transformed. So if you want to join the movement, there's no pressure. We're not going to not feed you breakfast if you don't fill out the form, maybe. But I do want you to pray about this form, and I want you to consider befriending, inviting, and reaching the lost. If you want to join us as a facilitator, which means 30 minutes a week, going through round tables, inviting the lost, having a conversation with people, and believing in Christ to do the work, fill it out, and I want you to bring it forth. Fill it out, bring it forth, and put it right here. At the end, we're going to contact those who fill it out and complete it and say, hey, I want to be a part of this movement. Put it right there. Start filling it out now. It's okay. Start filling it out. Come forward. And we're going to take a picture up here of everyone that comes forward. And we're going to send you a certificate of training from the John Maxwell organization that you've completed this process. And then we'll contact you with all the details and how to get started, how to move forward, get you all the videos, all the material. I can tell you that organizations have gone through this, and every organization wants to deal with attitude, honesty, character, etc. So this isn't just about, hey, everybody's going to come to Christ. If you just want to see an organization with better attitude, better character, and better chemistry and honesty, if you're a business person, man, I want that. This program is also for you to facilitate. We have businesses taking their entire staff because it's not all Christian-y. It's character building, it's values based. So it's up to you. Complete it. Don't be bashful. Come on through. The faster we can get 100%, I guarantee we get 100%. Okay, 99%, because I see Richard's giving me a tough time. But bring it forth, and then we can get to breakfast. So we get a picture, we get a breakfast. So get your forms, bring it forth, because we want to pray for you before we leave. Just right here on top.